Divine greetings. This is Jamaican Tupac. I was contemplating to myself earlier today, and the question arose mentally: if you could time travel, Jamaican Tupac, what would you say to 10-year-old you who decided in 2004 to start doing music? And 6 suggestions came to mind, and I think they may be of value to the upcoming artist, the upcoming producer, the upcoming DJ, the upcoming singer, the upcoming manager, the upcoming lawyer, whichever industry, whichever field you choose to be a part of. I think these 3 suggestions will be very valuable and should not be underestimated in terms of worth or oversimplified in terms of complexity. No, oversimplified in terms of standard or value. Same thing, redundant. So let's begin. So the first thing I think anyone needs to consider when venturing into any given industry to make a contribution and in turn earn a profit, the first thing an upcoming artist need to do is define themselves. Define yourself, not find yourself. Define who are you, right? Who are you? What sets you apart? What is your code? What do you represent? What are your personal principles? What is your philosophy? What is it that you believe that you will refuse to compromise? What is it that you believe that you will refuse to compromise regardless of how great the offer is? Who are you? Define yourself. Who inspires you? Which artists are your favorite? When you're watching the X-Men, which X-Men do you most admire? Look deep into your likes, your dislikes. Who are you? What type of man or woman are you? Define yourself. This will greatly help you, because if you don't, it will be difficult to achieve what you want, because to people you'll seem inconsistent, you'll seem confused, you'll seem indecisive. And if you do amount to some degree of success, it will be harder to maintain, because you'll be easily influenced by people who you meet who has a strong personality, because you don't have a strong core. So you are impressionable. So if you go around some people who are saying choppy choppy, you say choppy choppy. If you go around people who are saying dirt, a dirt. If you go around people who are saying righteous, then a righteous, because you don't know who you are. Second piece of information, I think you need to do a SWOT analysis. This is a familiar term among business administrators or business managers who are thinking about feasibility studies or business plans. A SWOT analysis refers to an analysis of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's basically where you analyze your product or analyze you if you are the product. Because if you are a musician, you are the product. Bear that in mind. So if you are an artist by the name of Mackerel Tin, Mackerel Tin no longer refers to the container that houses Grace fish products. Mackerel Tin is your brand, and that is your product. So when you look at Mackerel Tin, the artist, as a product, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities and threats that arise as a result of your strengths and weaknesses? Maybe Mackerel Tin is very good at slangs, that's a strength. But as it relates to interviews, Mackerel Tin is not a very good speaker. What does Mackerel Tin do as a result? Mackerel Tin will slang in interviews. Yeah man, so me just choppy cause, you know, a dirt. This is necessary. SWOT analysis. Maybe there is a threat that will arise based on a weakness or an opportunity that can develop as a result of a strength. Do a SWOT analysis so that you are better able to understand where you stand and how to best market the product of which you are intending to give to the world. The third piece of suggestion that I want to offer is study the atmosphere and culture of the industry you intend to be a part of. atmosphere and culture is very important. It was just the other day that Demarf Capital, I was chatting with Demarf Capital because I wanted to do a video for Phenomenal, and he was saying, yo, I want the video to be on this standard, and I'm saying, yo, I'm not spending that much. And it didn't end well because we disagreed and we couldn't arrive at an agreement. You get me? Nevertheless, love Demarf. Tido from T1 Records, my brethren in Sentan, hit me up to tell me the same thing that Demarf Capital was stressing. So now I have to tell Capital that he was right, and I'm not gonna do that in his inbox because I have too much pride, so I'm doing this vlog about it. So he was right, of course. It was just his presentation, and funny enough, what the disagreement was about was presentation, because the thing is, when you look at the atmosphere or culture of whatever industry you intend to be a part of, you have to realize that presentation is everything. Some people will buy dirt in a beautiful package, while others will throw away gold in a scandal bag. That is the power of merchandising, presentation. A lot of artists are not saying jack. Some of them are just saying choppy line, banger time, banger food, nothing else. There is no value in their music, but they look very good. They are well groomed. They have on colorful clothes, probably a fake Prada or a fake Louis V or something that looks quite similar to what may be genuine, and they rent some cars for $2,000 for the day, and they rent some NECs, and they get some girls and probably pay $10,000 for 5 girls, and they do a thing, and a million views, because people, the culture, the atmosphere that you are in, that is what is being sold. Value is not perceived as thought and heart, but as what appears to be value. Perceived value is not actual value, and what our culture perceives as value, sadly, is of no value. So the atmosphere and culture of the industry, you wouldn't start a LGBTQ organization in Jamaica walking around issuing rainbow colored shirt. That is very illogical, almost insane. Especially if you go to a place like Salem, or Cockburnton, or Long Road, or Boston. No, you wouldn't. The culture and the atmosphere of this industry does not encourage that kind of behavior. Unless you're a government organization, then it's understandable. Equal rights for all, right? The fourth piece of advice I want to share is networking and loyalty. Now, this has been a very difficult thing for me because I got a lot of, I came up in a very poor household, and I was always in survival mode. So I've used people, exploited people, people exploited me. So I kind of just generally don't trust people, and I'm paranoid, I'm cynical at times, I'm just kind of twisted up here. So I'm disloyal. I'm very good at goodbyes. There is no one too good for me to block them. That's who I am, or who I think I was, and this has proven to be a threat for the development of my brand based on this weakness. There are a lot of persons who we were good friends, and maybe a disagreement happened, maybe we just generally drifted. Great people like Tina Renier, John Mark Palmer, John Michael Spencer, Garth Morgan, myriad of others, and maybe, for some reason the relationship is no longer what it was because we drifted, and I am of such a nature where I'm very good at goodbyes. However, when I consider this weakness, I would think that this is a strength. I was thinking it was a strength, because I would say, hey, it's the wildest animal that lives the longest. When you're easily tamed, you're easily killed. And it's an understandable logic and an understandable philosophy to contemplate and maybe accept. However, the problem with that philosophy in the sense of business is that these days it's not about how talented you are, how qualified you are, or how competent you are for the job or position you're seeking to acquire. It is more about who you know and how much they like you. It is simply that. You could be a total idiot. You could be the worst singer. You could be as unattractive as, I wouldn't call anyone's name, let me use a character now. You could be as unattractive as Mystic in the X-Men. It's not about those qualities, it's about who likes you. The right people liking you and the right people wanting you to go forward. That is the defining quality of your failure or success in most cases. So what do I suggest? I suggest that when dealing with people, you have a professional but cordial relationship where you are always positive, keep your problems to yourself. Most times people don't care. If you are trying to acquire something, offer some value, then ask for a contribution based on the value you want to offer. So if you're an artist, I am willing to do this dub plate for this amount of money because I need to buy some groceries. Keep your relationships positive, keep the energy positive, and don't be a venter, a person who always venting and talking about your problems and relationships, because most people don't care. And if a person pretends to care, it's maybe because they haven't gotten what they want from you yet, or maybe they genuinely like you, which I always doubt, because I genuinely don't think anybody genuinely like me. That's just me, I'm cynical. But nevertheless, maintain a positive relationship with people and keep it positive. When they behave disrespectfully or you and them disagree, you give them space, and if they come back to apologize, you let them know you completely understand you are going through a rough time. You don't need to become confrontational, because that serves neither you nor them. That puts no money in your pocket. That doesn't get your brand where you want your brand to go. It's completely illogical. Completely illogical. You hurting them or them hurting you through words is not going anywhere, and it's digitally saved, so they can always say, hey, he said this, look, he said this. Alright, additionally, there is something else I need to mention on that. What was the other thing I was thinking about? Yes, so interpersonal, you have to have good interpersonal skills, because this is a defining quality for your brand. There is a reason why Jay-Z is more liked than Kanye. Now, I know you're gonna say, hey, Kanye is worth 6.6 billion and Jay-Z isn't even worth 3 billion. But Jay-Z, if we're going to talk about legacy, I think Jay-Z is going to go down with what society considers a greater legacy than maybe Kanye, regardless of Kanye achieving so much, because Jay-Z is more likable. Kanye is the type of man to say, hey, I'm a god and I'm gonna get that done. Jay-Z will be more like, I think it's the best thing if you get me, because he's more presentable. He has better presentation and interpersonal skills. So that defines your brand. And loyalty, yes, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Always be loyal. That was a part of my mistake. I didn't consider loyalty. You know, why you need to consider loyalty is because the people you start out with is a brain collectively. All of you, if all of you grow up in Fletcher's Land, Kingston, then all of them that are aware of you, let's say you're Mackrilton. So Mackrilton the artist, everyone in Fletcher's Land that is aware of Mackrilton is a brain. Not talking about their capability to think, but their awareness of your brand. Now, it is very likely in 6 years, all of those persons in Fletcher's Land that were aware of Mackrilton, this is what I was thinking about that I wanted to share. In 6 years, most likely, one will be in Canada, one will be in Alaska, one will be in America. Alaska is still America, redundant. One will be in Mobile, One will be in maybe same place in Fletcher's Land. Yeah, that I go on in a place found a gun, dog. One will maybe be in Trinidad. One maybe be in Germany. But all of those persons are aware that Mackerel Tin was doing music. But if Mackerel Tin was disrespectful and disloyal, they have no reason to consider that awareness. But what if Mackerel Tin was always a real girl or a real youth? I'm gonna say, yo, I go on for Mackerel Tin, dog. A long time I didn't even see her. You see me there? And then what happens? This person is, you know, say, right, that's why I did down in a mobile, me a link with squash them, dog. And yo, them want some writers and Mackerel Tin did a bad writer and you think I could have link her. There may be another person who is aware of Mackerel Tin who is Usain Bolt's cousin and just found out 10 years later. So therefore, loyalty is indirect success. It's indirect preservation of your brand. It's indirect opportunity. That within and of itself, if you have that as a strength, is the greatest opportunity. Because your brain, which are the persons who are aware of you, will know that wherever this person go, this person will be loyal. No question. Video is getting too long. Let me move on. So the other person that the other suggestion I want to make, the fifth suggestion that I think we should all consider is legacy. Legacy. Now when I talk about legacy, a person might think about Tupac, Cartel, Biggie, Jay-Z, Bob Marley, Rihanna, Beyonce. Yeah, think about persons with fame and fortune. But what if I told you that a legacy doesn't have to relate to fame or fortune? A legacy may just be a contribution, maybe a child that you had. You don't think the mother of Kanye has a legacy? You don't think Shensea's mother has a legacy? You don't think Miguel Orlando Collins, Sizzla Kalonji mother has a legacy? He's sitting in Augustown. He's sitting in Los Angeles. That's Kanye's mother's legacy. So I'm saying a legacy can be a child, it can be a song, it can be an idea, it can be a suggestion, it can be just one thing you said to one person that changed their lives. And that's your legacy. What if I told you there is a man in my mother's hometown by the name of Dennis Lee who recently passed? Dennis Lee owned a small supermarket, a convenience store, and though he struggled with heart disease, Dennis Lee never ceased to offer a word of advice, pop a joke with his customers, inspire his customers, give a little education there and here. He would always say to me, you need to stop smoke. Zetsu can attest, Scofo can attest, Todo can attest, David can attest, Jonah Lee can attest, Kupral can attest, Alex can attest, Gene Manning can attest, Greg can attest. Mr. Lee is the only supermarket owner that will allow you to owe him $20,000 and $30,000 because you should not be hungry and food is in his supermarket. He died about a week and a half ago. A funeral wasn't even kept because that was his wish. He didn't want any of that. But that is legacy. And maybe no one who isn't a part of that community is going to know about that legacy. But that does not decrease the magnitude of it. It doesn't make it less worthy. It doesn't make it less powerful. Legacy. How will you be remembered? What will be your contribution? Are you just going to be an average Joe? No. In the need to leave a legacy, sometimes we forget about the last piece of suggestion that I'm going to make. Social impact. How your contribution and legacy affects society. Do you think the Unabomber is proud of his legacy? No, let's not even think about the Unabomber. Do you think Aleister Crowley is proud of his legacy? Do you? Or think about Richard Feynman and what's the other one name? Robert Oppenheimer. And those scientists that were a part of the Manhattan Project that made the first atomic bomb. Do you think they are proud of their legacy and the social impact that allowed Russia to do what they did just now? Just walk into a country and just go. What do the Americans say? What's their phrase? Something like go ape. Beyonce has a song like that. What's it? Go ape. The essence is you go bonkers, you go crazy. Just walk into their country and go crazy. Do you think Oppenheimer is proud of that contribution? Him saying, hey, I've become the destroyer of many nations. Do you think he's proud of that if he's at a place now where he can look down on what he have created? With Einstein theory that Einstein did to reveal truth, not knowing it would be used to create the optimum device of destruction. Social impact. Do you think Vybz Kartel, when he retires, if he ever retires, he says he never will, do you think he'll be proud of his legacy? I mean, he's very creative, don't get me wrong, very prolific, very lyrical, you know, very great, but will he be proud of his legacy? Social impact. When you contribute, whatever you contribute, in whichever field, how will it impact society and future generations? Do you think the person who invented genetical modifications, do you think that person is proud of their legacy? The person who made the first gun, do you think they are proud of their legacy? The social contribution of their work? Because this is how society is. When you're placed in front of the world and praised as great or admired for whatever contribution, there are some people who will look and say, hey, such a great person, while there are others who will be like, me have to do something greater than that, which is Jamaican for I will do something greater than that. There are some that will be inspired to do something like what you do in a greater way. So what you do, I think, regardless of what you need to do to make it successful, I think it should have a positive social impact so that you have a positive legacy and you would have rest easy or transcended or ascended from this dimension knowing that your contribution was positive and those who have known you are better people because of knowing you. This has been Red Pills for the Matrix. Thank you for tuning in. This is Jamaican Tupac. My new album, Prophetic Poetry, is available for purchase on all